Mom told me to leave right in the middle of holiday lunch. No warning. No argument. Just a cold command dropped between clinking forks and fake smiles. 1 second I was passing the rolls. The next, my mother, Diane, said, "Stop leaning on this family, go." The room locked up. My father, Gordon, stared down at his plate like it held answers. My older brother, Luke, fixated on a dead phone screen. Evan smirked into his wine. I didn't move at first. The chandelier's warm light rested on my face the same way it did when I was a kid, back when I still thought light meant safety. From the street, our house puts on a perfect show. Glazed ham, a straight wreath, laughter that sounds real if you don't listen too closely. Inside, you learn how to read every silence. I'm Mara Jensen. I'm 42. In 4 years, I've been the quiet fix. Luke's legal messes. Evan's son's tuition. My parents' utilities whenever things got tight. I paid because I believed that showing up enough would earn me a permanent place at that table. Diane used to say, strong women carry the family. What she never did was teach my brothers how to lift. She taught them how to hand the weight to me. So when she accused me of depending on them, nothing broke inside me. It clicked. Clean, brutal clarity. I stood, draped my coat over my arm, and looked her straight in the eye. I'm going home. No one spoke up. No one followed. Outside, the cold hit me like clean water. I drove back to the city without looking in the mirror, scared I'd see myself begging. My hands were steady on the wheel, steadier than they'd ever been. In my apartment, I shut the door, set my laptop on the table, and opened it. The quiet felt instructive, almost firm. I pulled up my ledger. My parents' electric and water bills. Luke's temporary payment plan. Evan's monthly school transfer. The numbers didn't feel like love anymore. They felt like leverage. I shut off autopay. Accounts I'd funded for years went dark, utilities, payment plans, health that had turned into expectation. Then Pine Hollow, the family cabin, the place I paid for but was always given excuses about. Propane, internet, cancel, confirm, done. Each confirmation email felt like air finally filling my lungs. Digging through an old folder, I found the cabin transfer paperwork Diane had pushed me to handle. My lawyer had insisted on a reversion clause. I'd agreed just to keep the peace. Now the language sat there, clear and blunt. If they challenged the transfer, ownership returned to me automatically. 3 days later, Evan called. "What did you do?" He snapped. "The cabin's freezing. Caleb's weekend is ruined." I kept my voice even. "I stopped paying for things I don't use." He wrapped his anger in words like loyalty and sacrifice. I let him talk until he ran out of breath, then said, "Mom told me to stop leaning on the family." And I hung up. 2 days after that, a thick envelope landed in my mailbox. Law firm letterhead. Diane's name. A petition filled with words like distress and misunderstanding. She wanted the cabin back. I called my lawyer. He skimmed it once, then said, almost gently, they triggered the clause. "Pine Hollow is yours again." Effective immediately. I chose a diner near our old neighborhood public. Bright, safe. I got there early, slid into a back booth, leave my folder on the table, and watched the door. They walked in together like they'd rehearsed it. Diane first, chin lifted, eye sharp. Gordon behind her, shoulders sagging. Luke looked pale against the linoleum floor. Evan came last, all restless leg and swagger. I stayed seated. I pushed the menu aside and opened my folder. Diane's voice went sweet in that cutting way. "Mara, this has gone far enough. You've made your point." "I didn't file anything," I said calmly. "You did." Her smile faltered. "We were forced." The cabin is mine again," I said, steady as glass. "The moment you challenged the transfer, the reversion clause kicked in. You did this." Gordon finally looked up, eyes watery and stunned. Luke swallowed hard. Evan scoffed, but even that sounded unsure. I slid the next pages across a sticky table. Years of payments, neatly totaled, utilities, tuition, lawyers, repairs. The diner lights flashed off the ink like small blades. Luke stared. "You paid all this?" "Yes," I said. Because I thought being useful meant being loved. Diane pushed the papers backward to fingers. "Families help each other." "Then help each other," I replied. "Without me," Evan leaned in. "So you're cutting us off?" I met his eyes. "I'm setting myself down." "There's a difference." I stood, smoothed my coat, and placed my keys on the table. Pine Hollow's brass key caught the light. "I won't pay for a life where I'm treated like an ATM with feelings." Gordon whispered my name, but it sounded like habit, not care. I walked out into the brittle afternoon, the bell over the door ringing once behind me. For the first time, the weight left my shoulders in a single, final drop. That night, I slept without bracing for the phone to ring.